Hello. Today General Hospital will reveal the latest news about Kin Shriner, the beloved veteran actor synonymous with the character Scott Baldwin on General Hospital, has left fans stunned and emotionally shaken. For over 4 decades, Kin embodied a role that transcended mere performance, becoming a symbol of resilience, wit, and emotional complexity on daytime television. But now, the very man who once gave life to one of soap opera's most iconic characters finds himself in the grip of a devastating medical crisis. While fans were still absorbing the heartfelt revelations Kin shared about a failed ankle surgery that had sidelined him from the screen, an even more harrowing development has emerged. After more than a year of privately battling complications stemming from that surgery, Kin has reportedly fallen into a deep coma, leaving his future uncertain and his admirers around the world in collective heartbreak. What began as a hopeful attempt to alleviate chronic joint pain through a routine orthopedic procedure quickly devolved into a living nightmare. According to sources close to his family and medical team, just months after undergoing surgery on his subtalar joint, performed by a surgeon Kin later described as arrogant and negligent, his health began to deteriorate rapidly. The procedure, intended to stabilize his ankle and restore mobility, instead left him increasingly debilitated. Rather than healing, Kin's leg grew weaker, with diminished circulation and an alarming loss of muscle function. By the 6-month mark, he was reportedly unable to stand, let alone walk, and required full-time care just to manage daily activities. For someone who had spent a lifetime portraying a character known for his emotional tenacity and physical vitality, the reality of being bedridden and in chronic pain was a cruel irony. As the months wore on, the damage extended beyond his limbs. Prolonged immobility, coupled with high doses of pain medication, began to take a toll on his internal systems. Recently, Kin developed a severe systemic infection, believed to have originated in the bloodstream. That led to a dangerous escalation in his condition. Doctors were forced to place him into a medically induced coma to protect his vital organs from further strain. Emergency consultations with top specialists were initiated in Fort Lauderdale, where Kin has been quietly undergoing treatment. Though his inner circle has tried to remain hopeful, privately they acknowledge the growing uncertainty of his prognosis. The dreams Kin once shared of returning to the set, hopping back on his Vespa, and reclaiming his life, now seem heartbreakingly out of reach. What has made this tragedy even more poignant for fans is the raw honesty of Kin's last few messages before falling unconscious. In a candid social media post, he expressed frustration and despair over the botched procedure that upended his life. He described the surgeon who operated on him as dismissive and reckless, accusing him of worsening his condition rather than alleviating it. It was a rare and vulnerable admission from an actor known for his stoic public image, and it struck a deep chord with those who had followed his career from the beginning. For Kin, this wasn't just about physical pain, it was the loss of autonomy, the interruption of a life dedicated to craft, and the betrayal of trust placed in a medical professional. In response, a wave of anger and solidarity surged through the soap opera community. Former co-stars and longtime colleagues issued public statements expressing outrage at what they described as a preventable tragedy. Many have called for a formal investigation into the qualifications and conduct of the surgeon in question, demanding accountability for the irreversible damage inflicted. Meanwhile, thousands of fans have flooded social media with tributes, memories, and words of encouragement, hoping their collective voice might offer some measure of comfort to Kin's family during this agonizing time. Though his body now lies still in a hospital room far from the bright lights of a television studio, Kin Shriner's impact continues to reverberate. His portrayal of Scott Baldwin, flawed, fiery, and fiercely loyal, resonated with generations of viewers who saw in him both the complexity of the human spirit and the enduring power of redemption. His sudden silence feels like a rift in the world of daytime drama, a reminder that even our most cherished icons are vulnerable to life's cruelest twists. As medical teams work tirelessly to stabilize his condition and as prayers pour in from every corner of the globe, there remains a fragile hope that Kin might awaken. That the man who once fought every on-screen battle with unwavering grit might find the strength to overcome this one, too. Until then, his fans, friends, and fellow actors wait, united by gratitude for what he has given, and by an unspoken plea for one more miracle. On the hallowed set of General Hospital, a place steeped in tradition, history, and countless memories, the absence of Kin Shriner has become an almost spiritual loss. One that echoes through the sound stages and reverberates in the hearts of cast, crew, and fans alike. For over 4 decades, Kin was more than just an actor showing up for his lines. He was a living monument to the soul of daytime television, a thread that ran through the tapestry of General Hospital's evolution from its early days into the modern era. His portrayal of Scott Baldwin was not just a role. It was an emotional cornerstone, a complex blend of charm, fire, and vulnerability that made the character iconic and irreplaceable. Every scene he inhabited was marked by an authenticity that came not merely from training, but from life itself. Kin didn't perform Scott, he was Scott. His joys, sorrows, flaws, and resilience mirrored those of the man who brought him to life, and it was this convergence that made the character so deeply human and unforgettable. The vacancy Kin left behind is not merely practical, it is profoundly symbolic. His dressing room door, long adorned with personal photos and decades-old notes from castmates, now stands closed, a quiet monument to a man who, even when he wasn't on screen, was always a vibrant presence backstage. Kin's voice, once heard echoing through the halls with laughter, stories, and that unmistakable dry wit, has gone silent, and in its place is a stillness that is heavy and unfamiliar. Production assistants pause instinctively outside his door, forgetting for a moment that he is not there. Crew members glance at the script, half expecting to see a Baldwin scene that would demand Kin's signature intensity. Even the studio lights seem dimmer without the energy he brought into every take. Throughout the years, Kin was more than just a peer to his fellow actors, he was a confidant, a mentor, and a source of unwavering warmth. He was the type of colleague who never let the grind of production dim his appreciation for the craft or the people around him. Jeannie Francis, whose work alongside Kin spans generations of emotional storytelling, spoke through tears in a recent interview, recalling the countless scenes they played together, scenes filled with fire, heartbreak, and redemption. There was something sacred about working with Kin, she said. He brought his whole heart to the set. You could feel that he lived these moments with you. Finola Hughes reflected on how Kin had the rare gift of making you feel seen, both on and off camera. Maurice Bernard, known for his commanding presence as Sonny Corinthos, described Kin as the conscience of the set, always reminding us what it means to care, to remember the fans, and to never take this opportunity for granted. As news spread about Kin's deteriorating health and his current state of deep coma, the General Hospital community responded with overwhelming compassion. Thousands of fans from all walks of life began pouring out their affection, not with mere words but with tangible acts of devotion. Hospitals in Fort Lauderdale were inundated with flower deliveries, handcrafted art, and thousands of handwritten letters. Some from viewers in their 80s who had followed Scott Baldwin since the beginning, others from young adults who discovered Kin's work through their parents. One child sent in a drawing of Scott the Hero, complete with a cape, while a woman from Iowa included a photograph of herself as a young girl, watching GH on her grandmother's lap. The letters are not just messages, they are love stories written by generations who grew up with Kin as a constant companion in their living rooms. The media, too, has begun honoring his legacy with renewed reverence. Clips from his most iconic GH scenes are being rebroadcast and shared widely across social platforms. From his early days as the cocky, fast-talking attorney to the older, wearier Scott who had endured loss, betrayal, and moral crossroads, Kin's range as an actor was nothing short of masterful. One particular scene from the 1980s, where Scott delivers a powerful courtroom monologue in defense of a loved one, has resurfaced as a reminder of his raw emotional ability. With tear-filled eyes and a voice trembling with conviction, he captivated millions, and many now describe that scene as one of the finest moments in soap opera history. In an old behind-the-scenes interview that's now resurfacing with viral force, Kin reflects on the weight of legacy. People always ask me what my favorite storyline was, he muses, smiling gently. But what means the most isn't a scene. It's when someone stops me on the street and says, "You got me through a hard time." That's when you realize this job, this character, it matters. That sentiment, simple, honest, and humbling, is perhaps the greatest testament to who Kin Shriner truly is. Not just a performer, but a beacon for those who found solace, familiarity, and joy in his presence. Within the walls of General Hospital, Kin's absence has spurred a quiet yet powerful movement among the cast and crew. A growing number have started referring to his empty chair on set as Kin's Corner, where cast members now leave notes, flowers, and mementos after scenes. The wardrobe team recently draped one of Scott's iconic jackets across it, a symbolic gesture that has since become a daily ritual before each shoot. Rumors have even surfaced that the producers are discussing a tribute episode. Not as a farewell, but as a celebration of Kin's life and work, one that will include archived footage, unseen bloopers, and messages from past and present GH family members. Even as the studio carries on, the unspoken question hangs heavily in the air: what if this is goodbye? And yet, no one is ready to accept that. Hope remains, fragile but fiercely held. In the corridors of Port Charles, in the homes of fans across the world, and in the hearts of those who love him, Kin Shriner's spirit endures. As doctors continue their tireless efforts in Fort Lauderdale, surrounded by letters, memories, and a flood of prayers, there remains the shared wish that the man who gave so much of himself to the world might awaken and return, if only to feel the love that has enveloped him in his absence. In this chapter of uncertainty, one truth remains unshakable. Kin Shriner is not forgotten. He is etched into the soul of General Hospital, into the history of daytime television, and into the emotional DNA of every fan he touched. He is, and always will be, the heartbeat behind the man called Scott Baldwin. At this moment, Kin Shriner lies in a hospital room surrounded by machines that monitor every breath, every heartbeat, every flicker of neurological activity. A team of highly specialized physicians and critical care nurses watch closely around the clock, studying every vital sign with meticulous precision, hoping to catch the slightest sign of progress, no matter how small. The stakes are impossibly high. Each whisper of change, each tremor in a monitor's rhythm, is met with both anxious anticipation and cautious restraint. While the outside world holds its collective breath, the medical team has chosen to keep Kin's prognosis confidential, not out of secrecy, but from a desire to protect his loved ones and devoted fans from the emotional toll of premature conclusions. This is not a fight being waged in public, it is a private war within the fragile landscape of one man's body and spirit, where every hour could tip the balance between despair and hope. According to a quiet but credible source within the hospital, Kin remains in critical but stable condition. The source confides that should he survive this most dangerous phase of his medical journey, the road ahead will still be long and arduous. It will not be a return marked by a single breakthrough, but rather a painstaking climb, one built on small victories like opening his eyes, regaining motor control, or responding to voice commands. The physical therapy that awaits him would be grueling, and the psychological toll of waking to a world changed by months of unconsciousness would demand strength not just of body, but of mind and soul. There is a growing acknowledgement among those closest to the situation that if Kin is to recover, it will require not only the finest in medical care but also the full reservoir of resilience and determination that defined him both on and off screen. But even amid the gravity of these circumstances, one truth has become increasingly clear: no matter what the final outcome may be, Kin Shriner's legacy is already carved into the granite of American television history. What he gave to the medium, the humanity, the charisma, the vulnerability, cannot be erased by time, illness, or silence. He was not just a performer who appeared day after day under hot studio lights, delivering lines in tightly choreographed scenes. He was a living, breathing link between generations of viewers, a storyteller who embodied the complexities of life through the lens of a single character for nearly half a century. Through triumphs and scandals, heartbreak and redemption, Kin made Scott Baldwin a reflection of the audience itself, flawed, passionate, and deeply real. And now, as Kin himself endures a battle no scriptwriter could have imagined, the story of his life has taken on a new and poignant layer. He is no longer simply the face of a character, he has become a symbol of courage, a fighter confronting mortality with the same unflinching spirit he brought to every role. In hospital corridors, on television soundstages, and in countless living rooms across America, his name is being spoken with reverence. Fans gather in online forums, not to speculate about plots, but to share memories and offer prayers. Former co-stars send care packages and make discreet visits to his bedside. At ABC, discussions have reportedly begun about creating a permanent tribute, one that will immortalize Kin's contribution to General Hospital and honor his place in its enduring legacy. Perhaps what is most moving during this time is the unity his crisis has inspired. In an era where division and distraction often dominate the cultural conversation, Kin Schreiner's struggle has managed to do what few stories can: it has brought people together. From elderly fans who remember his earliest appearances in the late 70s, to young viewers discovering reruns for the first time, millions are now united in a singular hope: that Kin will return, that he will rise, that he will once again smile and walk onto the set of General Hospital, not as a ghost of a bygone era, but as a living testament to the power of perseverance and the magic of the human spirit. In the quiet of the hospital room, with machines gently humming and loved ones silently praying, that hope remains alive. It flickers in the candles lit by fans across the country, in the handwritten notes taped outside the ICU doors, and in the messages pouring in from every corner of the entertainment world. And should he open his eyes again, he will awaken to a world that never forgot him, a world that held vigil for his life and celebrated the light he gave. Kin Schreiner is more than an actor. He is a warrior. He is a memory keeper. He is a legend whose life now hangs in the balance, not just between life and death, but between the man he has been and the miracle he may yet become. The final pages of his story are still unwritten, and while no one knows what they may hold, there is one certainty that transcends all others: Kin Schreiner belongs to General Hospital, not just in body, but in spirit. And the home he built within that world, scene by scene, year by year, will always be waiting for him to come back. And so, as the passage of time continues its silent march, the story of Kin Schreiner moves into its most poignant, uncertain, and sacred chapter, a chapter not framed by camera angles or dialogue cues, but shaped by real breath, fragile hope, and the enduring strength of love. This is no longer the familiar terrain of daytime drama, where scripts can be rewritten and scenes red-hot. This is life in its rawest form, where each hour is a battleground, each heartbeat a fragile victory, and each flicker of consciousness a prayer answered. The man who once brought to life the fierce, flawed, and deeply human Scott Baldwin is now engaged in the greatest performance of all, a silent, unseen fight to return, not to the set, but to life itself. As doctors and nurses continue to monitor his vitals with unwavering precision, tracking the rhythms of his heart, the patterns of his neural activity, the delicate balance of systems struggling to hold on, Kin's loved ones remain close by, refusing to let his journey be one of solitude. Though his body rests in stillness, his name lives and breathes in every corner of the world he touched. In the halls of General Hospital, his absence is not felt in silence, but in the soft murmur of shared memories, in the lingering scent of the cologne he once wore, in the light that used to shine a little brighter when he stepped on set. His dressing room, lovingly maintained, has become a quiet shrine, not just to the actor, but to the man behind the role. Each cast and crew member who passes it slows their pace, lowers their voice, and lets their thoughts drift to Kin. Not out of ritual, but out of reverence. Beyond the set, the ripple of Kin's absence continues to spread across the industry and the globe. Actors from every generation have come forward with tributes that paint a picture of a man far richer than any role he ever played. They speak not only of his talent, which was immense, but of his heart, his loyalty, his humor, his ability to disarm tension with a glance and make everyone, from the newest production assistant to the most seasoned co-star, feel valued and seen. Fans, too, are refusing to let Kin's story end in shadows. Across message boards, social media, and fan clubs, they're sharing clips from his earliest episodes, debating their favorite Scott Baldwin moments, and revisiting the scenes that once made them laugh, cry, and believe. These acts of remembrance are not eulogies, they are love letters to a man whose influence is still very much alive. In one particularly moving gesture, a group of longtime GH fans organized a virtual Day of Light, asking viewers to light a candle in Kin's name and post a photo with the hashtag #LightForKin. Within hours, tens of thousands of images flooded in from all around the world, some from hospital rooms, others from childhood bedrooms where General Hospital once played softly in the background as families gathered. These flames, small and flickering but countless, now form a constellation of hope. A celestial vigil for a man who gave light to so many for so long.